WKRP in Cincinnati won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of the Gen X Files. Welcome to the Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about Red Dawn. Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Love this movie.
America. Yeah.
Hey, I can't wait till we debate the whole right-left thing about this movie because I got some things to say.
Good, because we're definitely going to debate that.
Good.
Take yourself back to 1984. May 8th, the Soviet Union announces that it will boycott the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles.
Yep.
Yeah, big loss there.
For the Soviets, all the poor athletes that took all those drugs and worked really hard.
June 6th, Tetris is officially released in the Soviet Union on the Electronica 60.
I hear that in my sleep, man.
Tetris is possibly one of my favorite video games.
Oh, yeah, it's everybody's favorite video game of all time. It captured everybody.
I loved that game so much.
So satisfying to clear the bricks, baby.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true.
Soviets knew. It was all from the KGB.
August 4th, Soviet submarine K-278 Komsomolets reaches a record...
Komsomolets, I think, is probably how you say it.
Probably better. I am not Russian. Reaches a record submergence depth of 1,020 meters, which is about 3/5 of a mile.
Ooh, yeah, and then they got stuck down there, and Harrison Ford was the captain, and he had to get everybody out of there. Oh, that was a later movie.
Was that Red October?
No, I forget the name of the movie, but Harrison Ford played a Russian sub-captain.
That's right. God, what was that? Okay, I don't remember. August 10th, Red Dawn is released in the USA and Canada.
I just want to say, I was in communist Russia, baby.
Yeah.
I was there.
What do you remember what year that was?
Yeah, it was 88, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, right. Are you the reason the Soviet Union fell apart?
I am. I'm very charming.
So, why is the first movie rated PG-13 beloved by so many, especially those of the conservative bent?
Because it's awesome, and it's got some of the greatest young actors playing some of the greatest parts. And, man, I remember when this movie came out, and it was awesome.
It was revelatory? It's just that the fact that it's like, can that happen? Yeah.
It was more like, this is fun. Okay, to take all the politics and the BS away from it, I'm going to tell you, as a 14-year-old or 13, whatever, going to this movie, what it was like. Probably went with Laser Tag Larry. Yeah, because we went to movies a lot together. But it was just... This was the time, again, this is why we're doing this month,
right.
Of these movies that were just, just killing fields. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was just like these action movies that had kind of like, it gave us the satisfaction of fighting the Russians when we couldn't fight them because, we were all deathly afraid of nuclear war and, the Russians were, people don't remember just how bad we thought the Russians were, man. I mean, just the Cold War was no joke. We had to, go under our desks to pretend like we had a chance of surviving a nuclear war.
Put your textbook on your head. It's like
every month, duck and cover drills, baby. But so it was just fun to see kids our age fighting a war. And it wasn't oh yeah, man, rah rah. It was more like, ooh, this is creepy. And it's a look, I know it didn't turn out to be the movie that it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it still isn't a really pro-war movie, Yeah.
No, it's not. I think it's been perverted into that over the years.
Yes, because once people take ownership of something, then they change the meaning of everything to fit into their schism or their ideology, of their doctrine. And you can do that. I mean, you can interpret art any way you want.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't see it, as I see it as a very it's still a rah-rah Reagan movie, but it's not the same as like Rambo 3 or Rocky 4. It's not just they had a sympathetic, the Nicaraguan general was a sympathetic character.
Yeah.
They got the weirdest, creepiest looking guy to play the Russian general, a guy that looks like he belongs in a Lord of the Rings movie. as an ancient elf or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But still, like, seeing that movie, it was exciting, man. I mean, it was seeing us, like, kids. There's a lot of movies like Taps, which isn't, it's a very different movie because it's a lot more, it's a lot more serious. But there's like 10 Soldiers, the kids, like Rambo with kids. There's all these movies where kids kind of become the heroes.
Yeah.
And it's not a tragic African child soldier story of conscription. It's, it's these people put into a situation and you got to do what you got to do. And basically that's what this movie is these kids.
Yeah.
There are very few movies that start so quickly and just
go
like this movie.
For sure.
This movie is great in terms of hitting the ground running. And there's the kids are kids. They're still jealous.
Yeah.
They're still sullen. They still fight. They're not like these super heroic. They turn into that.
Yeah.
Over like, I don't know, a year or two. I don't know how long
No, it was like 4 months.
Okay, so a little bit much. But I mean, they learned because they had to.
It was a situation where they were literally doing this every day. So it's not unbelievable. I mean, it does stretch a little bit, but still, it's not unbelievable.
What movie doesn't stretch?
But the fact is that this is a fantasy film, and that you can identify with these characters because if you watched a bunch of Soviets paratrooping in, you would grab a gun and go fight them. The movie was originally called 10 Soldiers. It was written by Kevin Reynolds. It was set in the near future as a combined force of Russians and Cubans launched an invasion of the southwestern U.S.
Ooh.
10 children take to the hills when their small town is captured, turning into a skilled and lethal guerrilla band. And that's
what instruments do they play?
They were a jazz ensemble.
They were? That sounds good. Hey, fusion jazz is a great way to fight the enemy.
Kevin Reynolds was barely 21 when he had written the script while attending USC. Producer Barry Beckerman read the script, and in the words of Peter Bart, longtime editor-in-chief of Variety magazine,
thought it had the potential to become a tough, taut art picture made on a modest budget that could possibly break out into a wider audience.
His father, Sidney Beckerman, helped him pay a $5,000 option for the script. Sidney Beckerman was an old-school producer who had worked on films like Marlowe in 1969, starring James Garner.
Yeah, Rockford.
Kelly's Heroes in 1970, starring Clint Eastwood and Telly Savalas.
My first celebrity meet, Telly Savalas.
Yeah, Telly Savalas. Joe Kidd in 1972, starring Clint Eastwood. Yeah. Marathon Man in 1976, starring Dustin Hoffman.
Is it safe?
That has one of the most disturbing scenes ever in a movie.
There's a few disturbing scenes.
Yeah. And The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai in the Eighth Dimension in 1984, starring Peter Weller, that was released on the same day as Red Dawn.
Better movie. I'm going to give it. I'm giving it. Out of the two, and I love Red Dawn. I've got a lot
Buckaroo Banzai, yeah.
Buckaroo Banzai is one of my absolute favorite movies ever. It's just such a weird, awesome movie, and I can't believe you haven't seen it. And every day that you haven't seen it, I take it as a personal offense.
I'm not watching it until we cover it.
Oh, man, then I'm going to be offended for a long time. We're going to have to do an emergency show.
Surprised that we haven't covered it yet, if it's one of your favorite movies of all time.
Well, I was waiting for you to bring it up.
You can do weird sci-fi movies. That'll work.
That's quite a swallow.
Yeah. So Kevin Reynolds wanted to direct, but the Beckermans wanted someone more established.
Yeah, he's only 21. He's still in college.
Yeah, he had some, he had some cojones. He was like, hey, whatever, you want my stuff? I can see he's young and brash.
Sure. I mean, go for it if you're going to go for it.
I mean, he's barely 21, and he just had a script option. Like, I would totally be like, yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down, Reynolds.
I can direct anything. Yeah. So Walter Hill was actually briefly considered for the script before turning it down.
He would have been great. And it is really ballsy of Kevin Reynolds to want to.
You're not going to get something if you don't ask.
Right, but it's a very complicated first movie. It wouldn't,
it is.
It's not like it's not like his real first movie.
Yeah.
Fandango.
Yeah. That is very true. That is very true. So the Beckermans pitched the project to David Begelman at MGM, but were turned down. Begelman was dismissed from MGM in 1982. They tried again at the studio when it was run by Frank Yablans.
Yablans!
Yeah, good old Yablans.
He's always coming up.
Yablans was the former head of Paramount who oversaw the release and marketing for The Godfather Part 2 in Chinatown.
He's a great guy.
He's a legend. Yeah. Senior Vice President for Production Peter Bart, who remembers it as a
sharply written anti-war movie, sort of Lord of the Flies.
He took the project to Yablans, who had previously worked with at Paramount, but this is all before he became the editor-in-chief at Variety.
Right.
By this point, Kevin Reynolds had caught the eye of Steven Spielberg at USC.
Yeah, he's always checking out them youngies.
Skulking around USC like a creeper.
Ooh, who's that guy over there?
This is a fantastic movie you've made.
I really like your short film. Maybe we could have lunch one day.
Oh, God. Spielberg really enjoyed his short film Proof, which was later shepherded by Spielberg into the nostalgic feature film Fandango.
It's a really good movie.
I've never seen it.
It's a great cult movie. It is. It's the best thing that Judd Nelson ever did.
Oh, yeah?
He's like the button-up. He's very funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
really?
He's great. And Kevin Costner's really charming in it, and it's especially seeing it after these guys kind of hit it.
Yeah,
it's really fun to watch.
Yeah. So it was released in 1985. Reynolds wrote and directed it. It starred Kevin Costner, Judd Nelson, and Sam Robards.
And can I just say, I got to go back for 1 second.
Sure.
It's pretty awesome that Steven Spielberg kept his eye on kids and helped their careers.
Yeah.
I don't. We always joke around it being creepy or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's more fun. But it really is a testament, at least in his. I don't know if he still does it, but at least in his younger days, to try to help, up and coming talented folks.
Well, a lot of it too is that I think that Spielberg has had the foresight to be like, yeah, I can start producing stuff and like getting stuff made and still make a ton of money at this.
And cultivating young talent.
Yeah.
And being able to find a stable of directors that he could go to.
Right,
exactly. That basically owe him their careers.
Exactly, yes.
Shrewd.
Fandango was set in the early 70s as a final road trip for a group of buddies that were getting married or going off to Vietnam. Essentially, they just weren't going to be their little friend group anymore.
Yep.
Reynolds began a long friendship with Kevin Costner after hiring him for Fandango when Costner was a little-known actor. Reynolds would go on to direct a string of movies like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves in 1991. Yeah, I don't mind Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Yeah. Waterworld in 1995. I also don't. I feel the same way about Waterworld. It's kind of like, okay, it's entertaining.
Waterworld is boring. It's so long, and his character is so nothing.
Yeah.
The mariner drinking his own pee-pee. The only good thing about that is the ridiculously over-the-top Hopper performance that we get.
Oh, yes.
You want to see one of the greatest American actors chomp, spit out and chew again that scenery. That's Mr. Hopper in Waterworld.
Is it about as good as when in Speed, when he was playing the villain in Speed?
Look, my favorite thing about that movie is the bad guys are called the smokers because they like to smoke and they have a whole ship full of cigarettes and they're always smoking. So back when I watched it, I was a smoker, and I'm like, I'd be on the smoker. Time. Yeah. I'm really not down with the Mariner.
If you want a good version of Waterworld, go to Universal and watch the stunt show.
Yeah,
it's 10 minutes long and it encapsulates the entire movie.
Pretty much.
So Costner and Reynolds actually had a falling out during the end of production, with Reynolds having to say about Kevin Costner.
Kevin should only star in movies he directs. That way he can work with his favorite actor and director.
Ouch.
Well, hey, that's no lie, baby.
That's far off.
He got a big hit, especially after Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
He started believing his own hype. And hey, look, Costner's an extremely talented cat, man. Very talented director, very talented actor. I really like the guy a lot. But he was fairly insufferable in the 90s from what I've heard.
Yeah. It seems like he's calmed down a bit since then.
Well, age does that to you.
That's true.
And flops, humbly.
A lot of flops in the late 90s.
But now he's back on TV doing Yellowstone.
He's doing
Yellowstone?
Yellowstone.
Okay.
Yeah. Yellowstone.
I'm not 60 yet, so I'm not watching that show. I haven't switched over to the CBS procedurals yet, like that and NCIS and Jag. Jag is the old man show.
Yeah,
that's been on for 67 years.
Still on the air. Yeah. Reynolds also he also directed 187 in 1997 with Samuel. It was Samuel Jackson's first top billed leading role.
It was good. It wasn't great, but it was good.
It was fine.
That was where he was the teacher, right?
I remember being very disappointed by the ending.
Yeah. But like anything where you're dealing with a teacher and students and murder and revenge.
Yeah.
It's a touchy subject.
So Reynolds and Costner actually made up by 2012 when they worked on the history miniseries Hatfields and McCoys.
Never saw it. Would like to see it.
Never either. Yeah, I would too. The miniseries was nominated for 16 Primetime Emmy Awards, including one for Reynolds for directing.
Nice. Good to see those guys get back together.
Yeah, it's good. Mend fences. It's good. In 2013, Reynolds was brought aboard as director for the planned project The Resurrection of Jesus Christ, a film intended as a mystery thriller and unofficial sequel to The Passion of the Christ, depicting the days following Christ's resurrection, with a script written by Paul Aiello.
The film we've all been screaming for! That sequel to The Passion!
The film is told from the viewpoint of a Roman tribune ordered by Pontius Pilate to investigate growing rumors of a risen Jewish Messiah and to locate the missing body of Jesus of Nazareth in order to quell an imminent uprising in Jerusalem.
Actually sounds pretty cool.
Eventually titled Risen, the film was released in 2016, and the only reason I included it is because I'd never heard of this and I have to see it.
Yeah, well, look. Okay, I'm going to say something that's going to possibly upset some people. I don't mean to, but this is just something I would like to see. Reading that, I would love to see like
a procedural, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
like
yeah.
a investigative movie,
yeah.
like a cop movie where these Roman quote unquote detectives,
yeah,
are investigating the Jesus, and I'm going to say this word, myth, and they disprove it or whatever, however it comes.
Yeah.
But I would like to see some sort of like historical, accurate, like
interesting,
religious, not, and take it for what it is. I'm not saying, I don't know. I'm not Gad. I have died and seen the last page of the book. This is only my personal beliefs, but and I respect your belief, not yours, Adam, but other people's.
Oh, I know.
But I think it would be really interesting to see that movie.
I agree. This is why I'm curious to see what this eventually became, because I don't think they totally went that direction.
If I looked good in a Roman skirt, I'd say let's make it.
All right.
But I've got really pasty, hairless legs. They're pretty gross.
Your legs should not be on screen.
No. Very spindly, too.
All right, so anyway, back to 10 Soldiers, as he was calling the script. Due to his involvement with Spielberg, MGM bought the script for 10 Soldiers. It was right after this that the executives at MGM had a brilliant idea for this little art house anti-war film. Peter Bart recalls...
The chieftains at MGM got a better idea. Instead of making a poignant little anti-war movie, why not make a teen Rambo and turn the project over to John Milius, a genial filmmaker who loved war movies? The idea was especially popular with a member of the MGM board of directors, General Alexander Haig, the former Nixon chief of staff who yearned to supervise the film personally and develop a movie career. Ugh, God.
Yeah. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, that lane is treason.
Correct. Most of MGM's execs were opposed to Milius directing, except for Yablans. It certainly appears as though this was Frank Yablans' idea to completely change the tone of the film.
Yablans! Hey, man, he saw... But, okay, let's be honest. He saw he felt the wind changing.
Yes, he did.
The wind of public opinion, and he did the right thing. I mean, in terms of business, I think he did the right thing.
Totally,
to make a popular movie, it's like he could have made $3 million making a serious, gritty art house movie, which would have probably been a lot better, but it would have also probably been forgotten and not.
It wouldn't have made money.
No, and it wouldn't become a cult hit.
Yeah, the tide was definitely shifting. I mean, at that point, Reagan had won a lot, by a lot. I mean, it was very much shifting in a very conservative way.
Oh yeah.
So Peter Bart claims he made a last-minute attempt to get Reynolds to direct the film and went to see Spielberg. However, by this stage, Fandango was in rough cut, and Bart sensed that Spielberg was disappointed in the film and would not speak up for Reynolds. Yeah.
But, I mean, you got to be honest.
Yeah.
It's show business, not show friendship.
Yeah. I mean, it's impossible that Reynolds just, at that point, he wasn't a good director.
He was, not that he wasn't a good director. He was an inexperienced director.
He was young.
This is his first film. Thank God. Fandango was his first film, so Spielberg could be like, hey, buddy, you're going to need to make a few more...
Yeah.
Get a few more of these under your belt before you tackle something as big as 10 Soldiers.
Fandango was never given a wide release, although it has now gained some cult status with people like Quentin Tarantino praising it.
And me.
Tarantino's actually said that he saw it 5 times the week that it was open, and he's like, I'm pretty sure it was only there for a week.
Yeah, probably. I remember I used to manage a video store in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the kids that worked there was like, you got to check this out. And I did, and I loved it.
Nice. So John Milius was signed to direct at a fee of $1.25 million plus a gun of his choice.
What?
Apparently that was part of his contract. They bought him a gun and paid him $1.25 million.
You buy a lot of guns for 1.25 mil. What do you know? A gun?
No. I do not know. It's rumored. I mean, it's possible that never actually happened, but
It sounds like one of those things that somebody made
given
up.
John Milius, probably.
But it could have. I mean, you're right. Milius is an interesting character.
Either way, yeah. John Milius was a very established writer and director by 1984. He wrote a number of iconic film lines such as
Charlie Don't Surf
and
I love the smell of napalm in the morning
from Apocalypse Now, and the famous Harry Callahan one-liners delivered by Clint Eastwood, including
Go ahead, make my day.
And
ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
I had no idea that he wrote all those.
Yeah, Milius is a one-line king.
Yeah, it's impressive. Milius also had a hand in the USS Indianapolis monologue in the film Jaws, which, if you want to hear about that, we have an episode on Jaws. You should find that.
Boat goes into the water. The men go into the water. Sharks come after the men. After the first day, after the first night, there's only 14 of us left. I went over to my buddy and I pulled him over. I had no legs. He had no legs. What is his legs?
Milius had just come off writing and directing Conan the Barbarian in 1982, which was a surprise success at the box office.
Yeah, another fun movie.
Yeah. So Milius set about rewriting the script for 10 Soldiers. He and Haig devised a backstory in which the circumstances of the invasion would take place. This was reportedly based on Hitler's proposed plans to invade the U.S. during World War II.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Weird.
A little bit.
Why is he studying Hitler? All right.
A lot of people back in the 80s, a lot of military guys in the 80s thought that Hitler was a military genius.
What?
You didn't? Yeah. I mean,
well, look, I
remember
over
most of Europe. I mean,
yeah, I had so many conversations in college with idiots. Started with, look, I'm no fan of Hitler.
Whatever you're about to say next,
yes,
don't.
Exactly. Yeah, but no. He got the trains running on time. Yeah. Yes, it was worth it to get the trains on time.
I will say, interviewing my grandmother, who was 13 in 1939, they loved him up until September 1st, 1939. And then they were like, what did we do? We created a monster.
They didn't know. I mean, it wasn't like the final solution was what he led with.
No. Well, not even just that, but in the war itself, it's just like nobody wanted to go into war. Anyway.
They saw the money.
Yeah.
A lot of people were making money off of Hitler.
Yeah.
Selling him arms and selling him,
Yeah. So Haig took Milius under his wing, bringing him to the Hudson Institute, the conservative think tank founded by Herman Kahn, to develop a plausible scenario. Milius saw the story as a third world liberation struggle in reverse.
Ooh.
Haig introduced Nicaragua and suggested that with the collapse of NATO, a left-wing Mexican government would participate in the Soviet invasion, effectively splitting the U.S. in half.
Yeah, but come on, man. Nicaragua never had a giant military, and I don't think the Soviets are going to grab a bunch of Nicaraguans on the way to America.
I don't really. I mean, I can even. That's why it's like the Nicaragua and Cuba. They have tiny armies. It's not something that they.
No,
it's implausible.
No, well, and Cuba was also, they're a pawn of Russia. They were going to put their missiles there.
Right.
Cuban missile crisis.
Right.
But I get it, because the reason why they included them is because communism and socialism was the boogeyman of the time. Still is. Strangely enough, everything is the same. We're afraid of Russia, and gas prices are high, and except back then, people had the right to choose whatever procedure they wanted for their bodies.
So Peter Bart recalls about Alexander Haig.
Even Milius was taken aback by Haig's approach to the project. This is going to end up as a jingoistic flag-waving movie, Milius fretted. As a result, the budget of this $1.6 million movie almost tripled.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was just Alexander Haig's super fantasy of hoping that something like this would happen.
Oh yeah,
and then that way you could really rally everybody around and make America great again.
Well, then you could nuke Russia.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, literally end the world. That'd be fantastic. Other changes included a shift in focus from conflict within the group to conflict between the teens and their oppressors, and the acceleration of the ages of some of the characters from early teens to high school age and beyond.
Makes more sense.
Yeah. There was also the addition of a sequence where some children visit a camp to find their parents have been brainwashed.
Oh, yeah. Well, they weren't. That wasn't in the. They weren't brainwashed.
They didn't end up in the final movie. Camp. Yeah. Milius later said,
"I see this as an anti-war movie in the sense that if both sides could see this, maybe it wouldn't have to happen. I think it would be good for Americans to see what a war would be like. This film isn't even that violent. The war shows none of the horrors that would happen in World War III. In fact, everything that happened in the movie happened in World War II."
To counter Milius's view, at the time it was released, Red Dawn was considered the most violent film by the Guinness Book of World Records and the National Coalition on Television Violence, with a rate of 134 acts of violence per hour, or 2.23 per minute.
Yeah, but it was the kind of violence where there's no blood. You know, it's not Rambo carnage violence blowing people's faces apart and stuff. It's like, it's the old, get shot in the belly. Ooh.
But that's
and
Rambo 2.
Over.
Rambo 2 was that way too. It didn't have, not like the later Rambo where there was pieces of people flying off everywhere.
Okay, what I'm saying is, this is quaint violence, okay? It's not gratuitous or... Okay, you can make an argument that the really rough violence of the later Rambo movies makes people squeamish about going to war or whatever.
Sure.
But this kind of violence is a disservice because it doesn't make it seem as bad as it is. Big spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. When Leah Thompson gets popped, she has I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me. Just fight on. Everything's going to be good. People have their.
Sure.
It isn't like Saving Private Ryan, where everybody's guts are hanging out and they're screaming for their mommies.
Which is very anti-war, obviously.
Well, yeah, but also very probably what happened, man.
Yes.
I'd be screaming for my mom, too, if I was 17 years old, looking at my guts hanging out of my belly. Jesus.
I will say that the one image from this movie, from when I was young when I saw it, and I don't remember how old I was when I first saw it. It was definitely on TV, so it had to have been in the late 80s. But the one image that always sticks with me is when Leah Thompson gets shot wearing that puffy jacket and it just blows up. And that is the one image that always stuck with me about that movie.
Good squib work.
Yeah. But also do remember that the 2007 DVD special edition includes an on-screen carnage counter.
Nice. But it's not like Rambo, where they're just shooting an unending supply of faceless soldiers.
No, Rambo 3 was definitely this. It was what they were saying times like 1,000.
Sure.
It is wanton violence, whereas this actually had purpose.
Wanton or wonton?
Wanton violence. You eat it.
Fried violence.
Yeah.
Look. Yes. But this violence in Red Dawn, it's like military. They're going in and they're doing their little like choo choo choo. It's like 5 shots. Boo 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 boo. Wolverines, we got you.
Yeah.
Boom, blow up the tank. Wolverines, we got you. It's not like this. It's not like it makes sense. The violence makes sense in this movie, I think.
Sure. That doesn't discount the fact that there was violence in the movie.
Yes, but it's not a ballerina movie. It's a movie about war.
It's just funny that, anyway, it's just that I think John Milius thought this was a very different movie than what he actually made.
Yes, I can agree on that, definitely.
That's the whole point. So Peter Bart recalls that Yablans pushed through filming faster than Milius wanted because MGM needed a movie over the summer.
Ugh.
Yep. Good old execs. Milius wanted more time to plan, including devising futuristic weaponry and to not shoot over winter, but he had to accede because MGM was the boss.
Yeah, nobody wants to shoot over winter. The cameras freeze up. Everybody's cold. It's like a huge pain in the ass. It adds a ton to the expense.
Yeah.
And it's just, and it's miserable.
Yeah. Due to the accelerated schedule, the Pentagon actually withdrew its cooperation from the film.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that really matters to the movie or not.
I mean, if they were going to get equipment, it does.
Yeah. So most of the cast were relatively unknown at the time Red Dawn was made. Patrick Swayze is Jet Eckert.
Jet Eckert.
Jet.
Don't cry! Don't cry! Turn it into something else! Turn it into something else! Don't cry! Turn it into something else!
Okay. He appeared in the poignant MASH episode Blood Brothers in 1981 as Private Sturgis, whose wounds are minor, but who is found to be terminally ill with cancer.
Such a sad I don't remember many MASH episodes, but I sure remember that one. Hi, I'm doing okay.
Well, you're not doing okay. You've actually got cancer. And now I'm going to make a joke about it. Yeah.
I better go put on my dress and run away. Yeah. That same year, Patrick Swayze appeared in the TV movie Return of the Rebels with Barbara Eden.
Nice.
And then in
Genie.
The Genie, yeah. Or Genie, not the
just
Genie.
Genie.
She's the Genie, yeah.
Well, Genie is a genie.
And in 1983, had a brief stint on the short-lived TV series The Renegades, playing a gang leader named Bandit.
I remember that show.
I do not at all. Swayze became better known to the film industry after appearing in The Outsiders in 1983 as the older brother of C. Thomas Howell and Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
In the same year, Swayze played a United States Marine Corps trainer in the Vietnam rescue film Uncommon Valor with Gene Hackman.
Great movie. And The Outsiders, man. Francis Ford Coppola found the next generation of stars and put it in that movie.
Literally everybody.
Rob Lowe, Tom Cruise, Charlie Sheen, Ralph Macchio, C. Thomas Howell, Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And Eyebrows. Eyebrow Jackson.
Eyebrows.
You guy talks like dope. I'm gonna get you, pony boy.
The guy from Something About Mary.
Oh, no. I always want to say Modine. That's not right. It's, I never remember his name. I literally never remember his name. But I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, well, he was in it.
So, of course, Swayze went on to become a huge heartthrob and action star, in part due to this movie and because of Dirty Dancing.
There's this restaurant in Los Angeles called Kate Manalini's. I don't know if it's still around, but it was a really nice kind of like restaurant, and occasionally my friends and I would go there to grab drinks or to grab something to eat, and we would always see Patrick Swayze, and he was always the nicest guy. Always held the door open if you were there. Always said hello if you were there. You know, oh no, you get your car first. You go ahead in front of me. And just the sweetest man.
Yeah.
Very short. Very short.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
No, not very short. Everybody to me is short because I'm tall, handsome.
Because you're 18 feet tall.
Yeah, I'm a tall drink of water. But very, very sweet man.
I have never heard one bad thing about Patrick Swayze.
No. Very talented, very sweet guy.
Very, very sad.
Loved his fans, loved working. Great dancer. Just great marriage. Great.
Yeah. Very, very sad when he passed.
Oh, my God. And just after he had done that amazing role in Donnie Darko, when he just did that amazing role in Donnie Darko as the spoiler alert, pedophile.
Yeah.
You know, something so against type. It was so good to see this guy. It was so perfect because he's so lovable and such a beloved and lovable actor to be this monster. It just makes me sad. I wanted to see so much more of that.
It was the beginning of his third chapter, and it sucks that it got cut off so soon.
Yeah, he was remarkable.
He was fantastic, C. Thomas Howell is Robert Morris.
Yeah.
In 1982, Howell made his film debut as Tyler in Steven Spielberg's E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Zero charisma.
At the age of 15, Howell was cast in Francis Ford Coppola's The Outsiders.
Stay gold, Pony Boy.
He played Pony Boy Curtis.
Stay gold, Pony Boy. That was when little Ralph Macchio, when they were saving the Socs, and he got crushed by the fire, and he's all dying, and he's like, and Pony Boy, he's just crying. He's crying, and Dallas is crying. And that was the part played by the man who we can't remember. Remember his name was Dallas in the movie, but and then old Macchio turns to him and he goes, "Stay gold, Pony Boy. Stay gold, which means stay gold.
Yeah,
not cold, gold.
Stay cold.
Always
cold. Stay away from fire because I was
killed
by fire."
Oh, what a great movie! Such a good adaptation of that book.
Yeah,
and The Outsiders. If you haven't seen it. Fantastic. Jesus, man. Watch that movie.
Howell's portrayal of Pony Boy was his breakthrough role, and it earned him a Young Artist Award.
He was great in that. Great.
Yeah, he's gone on to have a very long career in film and TV, and is still doing stuff.
My favorite of all C. Thomas Howell.
Mm-hmm.
Howell?
Howell.
When I said that, I was thinking of
Howell.
I was thinking of Thurston Howell III from Gilligan's Island. But my favorite C. Thomas Howell movie is The Hitcher.
Oh, yeah.
With Rutger Hauer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Terrifying movie.
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this movie, by the way, watch it today.
Yeah.
But when he's eating them French fries, and he pulls that finger, and when Rooker's got Jennifer Jason Leigh tied to that truck, man, holy friggin' moly. Oh my God, Cat and Mouse, one of the greatest cat and mouse movies ever. Please. Yeah. And Rooker Hauer is delicious.
He's great in it, yeah.
Horrible remake. Don't watch that.
Yeah, don't watch the original.
That's the rule on this show. Ignore the remakes.
The only thing that I would say not to ignore the remake would be Ocean's 11.
Yes, they did do better than the really lazy. But if you watch the original,
yes.
Sorry for this tangent, but I love the Rat Pack. Love them.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Sinatra music fan. Not so much as a person. Seemed like kind of a jerk.
Yeah,
but Ocean's 11 is boring. And
yeah.
you could tell all they did was go to the casino and gamble all night long, and then tumble into this.
We should go shoot this thing. All right.
What are we gonna do? Let's just make it up as we go. Okay, here we go.
I'll pause playing blackjack for 20 minutes. We'll shoot the scene and go.
It is not. The concept, the cast, and the title are all awesome.
Yeah.
Movie not so much.
Yeah. So, Leah Thompson as Erica Mason. Thompson made her home media screen debut in 1982 as Cecily Sissy Loper in the interactive live-action video game mystery disc Murder Anyone?
I remember that, by the way. I totally remember Murder Anyone.
Love this because it came out in 1982. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was just this totally digital. It was weird that they were trying so many new things then. That was around the time, too, I think, of the Don Bluth video games. The Dragon's Lair and
Black Cauldron or something?
Dragon's Lair.
And
then there was Space Ace.
I thought there was another one, Cauldron something.
Maybe.
Some Cauldron. But yeah, essentially you're playing a cartoon.
Yeah. And this was like playing a movie.
Yeah. Her movie debut came in 1983 with Jaws 3D, starring Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr.
Poor girl. That movie, I saw that in the theater, by the way, I'm going to put the quoties up here.
Yeah.
3D.
Yeah.
There were like two good 3D shots. There was one where the giant fake shark comes swimming at you. And as it comes, you're like, wow, that's fake. And then, then I think they like shot no, that's the Friday the 13th 3D where they shoot the harpoon at you. But yeah, she was like the wife or girlfriend of one of the Brody sons. They all worked at this like SeaWorld park. Yeah. And they captured a baby great white that's the size of a real great white, and then big old mama comes, which is like the size of a cruise ship, apparently. Everybody, I think she got eaten. I don't remember.
I honestly, I know I've seen it. I don't remember anything about that movie.
For years, on July 4th, I would watch all 4 Jaws movies. Nice. That would be my July 4th.
They'd become easier to watch the drunker you got.
Yeah, I one year I was like, man, because HBO would always do a marathon.
Yeah.
But I always thought like I should watch these in reverse to get up to Jaws because man, by the time you get to Jaws 4: The Revenge,
decline in quality.
You want to jump in the Bahamian waters and get eaten by that shark yourself. The shark in Jaws 4: The Revenge follows Mrs. Brody from New England to the Bahamas.
Of course.
For revenge.
Of course, it's the revenge. We talk about this in our Jaws episode. Go listen to our Jaws episode.
If you want to see Mario Van Peebles do a really bad Jamaican accent, and you want to see Michael Caine just smirk.
Not care at all.
But seem mildly amused that he's actually in this movie.
You can literally see the phone attached to his ear as he's playing his performance.
Where's it shooting?
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah. Leah Thompson also starred in All the Right Moves with Tom Cruise in 1983.
Yeah.
Good little sports movie.
Yeah, I told you. They both get nakes.
No,
you get to see Tom's peen.
Yeah,
I had such a crush on her when I was a kid. She was just,
but
she was also a badass, man. I mean, she didn't just play the girlfriend parts. She did sometimes, but it's like Red Dawn was a badass part, and there was so much going on with her character that we probably didn't see.
Yeah,
I mean, because there had to be some sort of subplots or something of sexual violence or something against one of them because she turns feral. It's weird. Her character just turns into like this feral, weird.
Yeah, there was actually in the original script. And I actually think in the Amelia script, before they got to the shooting, there was supposed to be a relationship between Powers Booth and Leah Thompson in the movie.
Right, but before this, she met Powers Booth, which was her hope.
Right.
Because you keep giving him them flowers, like Nell from
Nell.
Nell. JJ Carpenter, Puppety.
She literally regresses so hard in the movie. It's
both the.
She does a great job in
it. No, she's great, and Jennifer great too. But they're just both like. She's like, wash your own plate. I mean, that's the great scene where she's like, you make yourself useful. It gives her the dishes. She's like, F you, man. You wash your own damn dishes. I'm not your slave.
It was great.
Not your wife.
Leah Thompson would perhaps be best known for her role in Back to the Future trilogy, but continues to have a long career acting and directing.
Great. And she had Caroline in the City, had a television series for years and years and years.
Yeah, she's had a great career. And she's fantastic. She's such a good actor.
Deservedly so.
I love her so much.
So charming.
Yeah.
So good and so diverse. I mean, if you look at Back to the Future versus Red Dawn, come on, man.
Yeah.
Range, baby.
Charlie Sheen is Matt Eckert, Jed's younger brother. Sheen is the son of Martin Sheen and brother to Emilio Estevez. Sheen's film career began in 1983 when he was cast to portray Ron in Grizzly 2: The Predator, the sequel to the 1976 low-budget horror movie Grizzly, which remained unreleased until 2020.
Really?
Yeah.
Finally.
It finally came out a couple years ago. Yeah.
Was it worth the wait?
No. Okay. Red Dawn was technically his film debut. We all know how Charlie went on to become famous and then very infamous.
It's so sad. Charlie Sheen was awesome, man. He was one of the great young actors of his generation.
Yeah.
His portrayal in Red Dawn is a tour de force, man.
He's fantastic.
His emotional accessibility, his crying, his intensity, it is so good. And you look at him and it's great to see the reunion between he and Jennifer Grey in his cameo in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
Where he just plays that unfortunate character that pretty much just sums up who he is.
Became him, yeah.
But we forget what a great young actor he was and how many, oh my God, dude, Platoon.
Yeah, he's
He was fantastic in Platoon. Yeah. And it's just, people, make jokes about him and the tiger's blood and all this stuff.
It's sad that he's become a joke because really watching this again, it was like, he was so good.
Yeah. People forget,
I mean, he was great up until literally, halfway through 2.5 Men, and then he went insane.
Well, he's always had his picadillos and his problems, but he was never so proud of them as when he tripled down on his, and then just crashed and burned and ended up being diagnosed with HIV. And it's just sad. I mean, even after he left 2.5 Men with all of that controvery, he went on to do the anger management show for 5 years. So it's like nothing could kill that guy. He was like Trump before Trump, but not as awful.
Right. Darren Dalton,
except in terms of the stuff. The women's stuff. It was pretty gross.
Yeah. Darren Dalton is Daryl Bates. Dalton's career began in 1982 when cast as Randy Anderson by Francis Ford Coppola during a nationwide talent search for the teen ensemble The Outsiders.
Yeah, he was the Soch.
Yeah. Dalton would guest on some TV shows and appear in some TV movies in the 80s. He tried feature films again, but opted to dive into screenwriting. He now works almost exclusively with The Asylum, writing and starring in knockoff features with his buddy C. Thomas Howell.
How fun.
Like The Day the Earth Stopped.
Nice.
And The Land That Time Forget, based off the Edgar Rice Burroughs novel.
The Land That Time Forget or Forgot?
Forget. The Land That Time Forget.
That's how they changed it.
The Asylum. I have a newfound respect, and we'll talk more about this in the Stepdad show.
Sure.
But because of a certain thing I just watched.
Yeah, but I give it to Asylum, man. I mean, they're the knockoff kings.
They make money.
Of course they do.
And that is, I'm like, okay.
Their whole business model is misdirection.
Yeah.
Their whole business model is accidentally renting their movie rather than the one that they've ripped off.
Yeah. I
love it.
I know a couple of actors who have been in a few of their movies.
Sure.
Like their Avengers knockoff and stuff. And they're awful. They're just awful movies, but people watch them.
Sure. Hey, man, pot is very powerful these days.
It's money. They make stuff so cheaply that they just make money on everything. It's a brilliant model. I just wish the quality was better.
Well, then write C. Thomas Howell and
I mean, now granted, I have
Darren
not
Dalton.
seen The Day the Earth Stopped.
So you're just judging without any sort of evidence.
I'm judging.
These could be the best movies ever.
I watched their version of I Am Legend called I Am Omega, and it was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, no, it
was bad. In fact, it had Oh, God. I almost had his name. Anyway. Jennifer Grey as Toni Mason. Grey's commercial debut was at the age of 19 in an ad for Dr. Pepper. She made her film debut in Reckless in 1984 in a small role. It starred Aidan Quinn and Daryl Hannah. The film was directed by James Foley and written by Chris Columbus in their directing and screenwriting debuts, respectively, which I've never seen this movie.
It's good. I mean, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah.
Her dad is Joel Grey, who was in Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins.
Oh, yeah, nice.
As a very offensive playing an Asian man, a white man playing an Asian man.
Oh, wow.
But Joel Grey is a great dancer and choreographer and Broadway dude. And
that's how I know him. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, okay, yeah.
Really great actor, and that's his daughter.
She appeared in a small role in Francis Ford Coppola's The Cotton Club in 1984, starring Richard Gere and Gregory Peck.
Damn, Coppola's just getting on them.
Oh, yeah. He was a tour de force. Grey became a household name with the release of Dirty Dancing in 1987. In the late 90s, she got a pretty bad nose job and even starred in a short-lived TV show about it.
Yeah, she ruined her career.
Yeah.
And look, it's stupid that ruined her career.
I know.
That just shows how superficial and crappy this business is.
Yeah, yeah.
But she was unrecognizable. And not that she wasn't still attractive or whatever, but it just changed everything.
Her.
Yeah.
Her image changed completely.
Yes, because she was so like that angling nose or whatever that she had lended herself to that just sharp wit. And her playing Ferris Bueller's sister is the greatest role she ever played.
Yeah, yeah.
She is just dripping with resentment. It is. There's no better portrayal of a pissed off sister. Growing up with a sister who rightfully, got upset with me for being a little tattletale and stuff. I get it, man. She was just so good, and it just blows that this stupid business is so superficial like that.
Yeah, agreed. She does continue to work in TV and film while doing voiceover for cartoons such as Phineas and Ferb. She continues to capitalize on her popularity by appearing on various shows that reference her Dirty Dancing fame.
Sure. I mean, that was great, too.
She actually won her season of Dancing with the Stars.
Well, I wonder why. Did they do the...
I have never seen 1 second of Dancing with the Stars, but I'm assuming yes. But she appears at like conventions and stuff. Like she seems very. The thing is that even though Hollywood kind of rebuffed her because of this nose job, she is still like she's like just took it in stride and was like, okay, like whatever, I'm gonna capitalize on it however I can.
I'm sure. I'm really impressed that she got there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure when it first happened, it was devastating.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean...
It's just...
That first moment when people are like, I'm sorry, who are you again? And it's like, yeah.
It sucks.
It does.
Well, it's the same... I mean, it's a different... it's a different situation, but Mark Hamill had the same problem where he, between Star Wars and Empire, got into this horrific car accident where his face just went through the windshield and he had to have facial reconstruction surgery. And that beautiful boy from A New Hope... was, still a handsome man, but very scarred, different nose, different everything. And they even had to, reference that in Empire Strikes Back because it was so dramatically different. Right. I think that stalled his acting career as well. Yeah. And then again, and such a talented guy, same thing, went to voiceover, and now everybody wants to work. He's had such a resurgence in the 60s. Everybody wants to work with Hamill. And he's always been great. Like that Sushi Girl movie. What was it called? Sushi Girl, yes. Yeah. Great in that.
Fantastic in that movie.
And I will say this unequivocally, the absolute best Joker performer in all, totally. I'm even putting him up ahead of Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger was a remarkably, kind of down-to-earth,
it was great
realistic
for that movie.
100%. But encapsulating the character of the Joker, the actual comics character, nobody even comes close to Mr. Hamill.
He's so fantastic, Brad Savage is Danny. Savage appeared in many television shows in the 1970s and 80s, including...
Salem's Lot, Chips, Mork and Mindy, Emergency, Fantasy Island, The Plane, and The Love Boat.
He appeared in several other films, including...
2 Minute Warning. Great movie, by the way. 2 Minute Warning was about an assassination attempt at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
One of my favorite Jack Klugman moments, spoiler, if you haven't seen this movie that nobody's seen but me, he's like this gambler, and he's always losing. And then right at the end of the game, 2 Minute Warning, because the game's almost over, he's got the money, and he stands up, and I got the money,
It's a great movie.
So much fun.
Movie. The Apple Dumpling Gang, which I've never seen.
Yeah, you have. Of course you have. The Apple Dumpling Gang with Don Knotts and not Harvey Korman. Tim Conway, and they're a couple of bumbling outlaws. It's like a Disney movie. They had the Apple Dumpling Gang rides again, and all sorts of dumplings.
He was also in Echoes of a Summer, No Deposit, No Return, and Return from Witch Mountain.
Oh, great movie.
Yeah, and Islands in the Stream.
I think Return from Witch Mountain was the sequel to Escape from Witch Mountain.
I think it was.
Yeah. Well, because you're returning.
You're returning.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Or maybe they returned and then they escaped.
No, I don't think so.
Savage currently plays bass guitar and sings in the celebrity group Band from TV with Greg Grunberg, Hugh Laurie, James Denton, Bob Guiney, Bonnie Somerville, and others.
Nice.
Yeah. Powers Booth as Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Andy Tanner, USAF.
Still, one of the most amazing names in all of Hollywood. Powers Booth.
He was actually, I don't know if I put this in here, but he was actually named the name, because we had talked about this while we were watching it, but he was actually named after his dad's best friend who died during World War II.
Was it his last name or his first name?
His first name was Powers. Don't ask me why. I don't know.
What if they called him Pow? What up, Pow?
Pow. Yeah.
Or Yours. What up, Yours? Powers, man. What a great name.
John Milius wanted Robert Blake to play the U.S. pilot, but Frankie Ablins overruled him. Powers actually started on stage, making his acting debut in New York in 1974 in Richard III.
Oh, so good. I just love that guy.
Oh, yeah. He first came to national attention in 1980, playing Jim Jones in the CBS TV movie Guyana Tragedy, The Story of Jim Jones.
I'm Jim Jones. Drink that Kool-Aid.
He won an Emmy for the role, actually beating out Henry Fonda and Jason Robards.
He was great. It's a great TV movie.
Fantastic, yeah.
God, that thing. You guys don't know about the Guyana Tragedy and Jim Jones. Good Lord. There is a tape of all of them taking the it wasn't Kool-Aid.
It's not Kool-Aid. It was
poor Kool-Aid
drink. It was like
limeade or something.
Yeah.
It was like whatever it was.
It wasn't Kool-Aid, but
it was the same kind of punch.
Yeah.
Regardless, it doesn't matter. That's a teeny little detail. But if you listen to this tape, they taped over this I think it was I forget which album it was. I think it's like I don't know. They taped over like a music album.
Okay.
So in the background of this horrific tape of people poisoning themselves and dying and pleading with him, there's this very slow motion low.
Oh, weird.
In the background that makes it even more
a little more creepy.
Unreasonably creepy.
Yeah.
If you have a chance, man. The last podcast on the left,
they did it. Yeah.
Those guys did a great series on that. If you want to learn about that, I would recommend listening to their podcast.
Yeah, and they actually do play like 40 minutes of that tape, and I couldn't listen to it. I couldn't get through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting at first, but there's no reason to listen to the whole 40 unless you're just weird.
Booth had a long career in the film and TV, appearing in Deadwood and Nashville.
Deadwood, yeah, he was so good.
So good in Deadwood, yeah. Booth passed from pancreatic cancer in 2017.
He's one of those guys who's kind of, his bottom part of his mouth just kind of sticks out a little bit.
Always. You can always see his bottom teeth.
You always see his bottom teeth.
He was such a good actor, though.
Loved him.
Very sad when he died. Harry Dean Stanton is Mr. Tom Eckert, Jed and his brother's father. His career spanned more than 6 decades.
Yeah, that MFer started with John Wayne.
Yeah. His first credited role was in Tomahawk Trail in 1957. Stanton played supporting roles in films including Cool Hand Luke in 1967, starring Paul Newman.
Oh, man. My favorite Paul Newman movie.
Great movie, yeah.
Such an amazing performance. And he eats a lot of eggs.
Yeah. Kelly's Heroes in 1970.
Clint Eastwood.
Yep. Dillinger in 1973, written and directed by John Milius.
I think that was actually a Corman movie.
Yeah, I think it was, actually, yeah. The Godfather Part 2 in 1974 by Francis Ford Coppola, obviously. Alien in 1979 from Ridley Scott, which is fantastic in that movie. Escape from New York in 1981, and Christine in 1983, both directed by John Carpenter.
Oh, man, and Christine as the cop, he is just so good. I absolutely adore Harry Dean Stanton. One of my favorite L.A. memories is Sunday nights going to the oyster bar, tiny little hole in the wall oyster bar.
Yeah,
you get oysters, and drinks, and crap. And he and his band played blues.
Nice.
And I have never seen a human being so drunk perform so well in my life. And it was just a joy to see this drunken man up there just loving singing the blues. It was just so much fun. And he was just the nicest guy, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because after he was done, I mean, he was tipsy, but he was just so gracious and so nice, and he'd talk to you. And, you know, that guy just, there's certain people that make me love Hollywood, and there's certain people that make me hate it. And he's one definitely that makes me love it.
He passed in 2017 at the age of 91.
Oh, and you forgot another amazing performance of his, Big Love, playing the Mormon patriarch.
Yeah, I didn't include anything after Red Dawn, but yeah,
I'm sorry, I just
had a
can't
long
stop
career. No, he was great. No, he was great. I mean, he was in like 400 different movies and TV shows. Like he had a long, great career.
Blue Velvet.
Yeah,
you know,
he was fantastic.
He was in everything.
Ron O'Neal is Colonel Ernesto Bella or Bella. I guess it would be pronounced.
Probably.
O'Neal started his career on stage. He rose to fame in his role as Youngblood Priest, a New York cocaine dealer in the blaxploitation film Superfly in 1972, and its sequel Superfly TNT in 1973. He actually wrote and directed the sequel.
Good for him.
Yeah. He starred in When a Stranger Calls in 1979.
Oh, that's such a good movie.
Great movie.
The call is coming from inside the house.
Yeah. He also starred in Guyana Tragedy, the story of Jim Jones with Powers Booth. He continued to work until losing his 4-year battle with pancreatic cancer in 2004.
F cancer, man.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, but he was the
how many of these guys do we lose from cancer?
I believe it's
Powers and
3
him?
or 4. Yeah. I don't know how Harry Dean Stanton died. I don't know if it was natural.
It was gotta be. I mean, that guy just lived life until the fullest and made it. He was smoking cigs and drinking all the way till the end.
William Smith as Colonel Strelnikov. In a Hollywood career spanning more than 75 years, he appeared in almost 300 feature films and television productions in a wide variety of character roles, accumulating over 480 total credits.
He's just super weird looking.
He is such an odd man.
But so, I think he's probably the nicest guy in the world.
I'm sure.
But he's just got that face of evil.
His best-known role being the menacing Anthony Falconetti in the 1970s television miniseries Rich Man, Poor Man.
Oh, yeah.
Smith is also known for films like Any Which Way You Can in 1980.
Clint.
Great movie.
Any which way you can.
Conan the Barbarian in 1982. Rumblefish.
Yes, starring Matt Dillon.
Also stars Matt
The
Dillon.
man that we could not remember his name, playing Dallas on the other S.E. Hinton book.
Right. Yeah, Matt Dillon's fantastic.
That was in black and white, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen Rumblefish.
It's not as good as The Outsiders.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
William Smith also had lead roles in several exploitation films during the 70s, such as C.C. and Company in 1970, Grave of the Vampire in 1972,
And the invasion of the Bee Girls.
in 1973.
When
B
I first
spelled B-E-E,
Yeah.
not just B, yeah.
That's why when I first saw that, I thought it was the invasion of the Bee Gees.
No. Smith continued to work up until his death in July of 2021. His last appearance was as a barfly in the Jon Stewart film Irresistible.
Wow, he had a long career. That's the thing, man. If you're a weird-looking dude, you could work forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you,
You're a
if you want to
character.
be an actor, it's better to be weird-looking than pretty. Trust
true.
me. I
It's
know. Now,
a lot easier to get parts.
people are always going to need interesting-looking people.
Yeah.
And your competition is probably less because it's more on your merits and how you look and how you do rather than just being a pretty. Right. So, like the guy, I forget his name, the one that was in Cobra Kai and he was in the Richard Jewell movie. He's Martin Cove?
Oh, no. That's not Martin Cove is the other guy. Yeah, I don't know his name. The guy that was in Richard
And he's in
Jewell.
Blackbird, that amazing new show on Apple TV. That guy, he's going to have a great career.
Yeah.
And I was not super sure of him. I really liked him in Richard Jewell.
Yeah.
And I liked him in Cobra Kai. But seeing him in this Blackbird show, it is one of the best, most nuanced serial killer performances I've ever seen. So interesting and different than anybody else.
Nice. So Red Dawn was filmed in and around the city of Las Vegas, New Mexico. Many of the filming locations in town are still there.
Yeah.
Before starting work on the movie, the cast underwent an intensive 8-week military training course.
Yeah.
During that time, production crews designed and built special combat vehicles in Newhall, California. Soldier of Fortune reported that the movie's T-72 tank was such a precise replica that...
While it was being carted around Los Angeles, 2 CIA intelligence officers followed it to the studio and wanted to know where it had come from.
Powers Booth later claimed that...
Millie's cut out the emotional life of its characters. Originally, my character was anti-war as well as rightist. I was supposed to be the voice of reason in that movie, but certain cuts negated my character.
Leah Thompson said the original cut featured a love scene between her and Powers Booth, but it
was cut out after some previews because of the age difference, and that was the main reason I took the movie. It was such a terrific scene.
Yeah. Although she was supposed to be like 15 or something in it.
It's not a terrific scene. Sorry, Leia.
Yeah.
I get it, but statutory... It's not so sexy.
It's weird. Some of the weaponry devised for the film did not work. Futuristic helicopters created for the film did not have FAA approval to fly over people. The budget was increased from $11 million to $15 million.
That's not very much.
No. I mean, eventually came in at $19 million.
That's almost twice, so...
Yeah. The film was scored by Basil Poledouris.
Yeah!
He is best known for his long-running collaborations with directors John Milius and Paul Verhoeven.
Oh, he's good, though.
He did both Conan movies in 1982 and 84, Iron Eagle in 1986, the Top Gun knockoff, RoboCop in 1987, which I had no idea that was him. I, for some reason, thought it was somebody else. I don't know why. The Hunt for Red
Dead
October...
or alive, y'all. Coming with me.
The Hunt for Red October in 1990, Free Willy in 1993... and Starship Troopers in 1997.
Free Willy, was that the movie about Lauren Boebert's husband in the bowling alley?
All right. Trying to keep this timeless, Jim. He won an Emmy for his score to Lonesome Dove in 1989.
One of the, to me, the greatest miniseries ever.
Yeah.
My friend Big Bear John Falke and I, who was a guest on our Robert De Niro show, he and I... we would watch that just about every year. It's been a couple of years since we've seen it. But we, a few years ago, went over to his place and watched the whole thing. We're getting old, so we kind of napped through it because it's long. But, man, that is just... If you like Westerns, you like Tommy Lee Jones, if you like Robert Duvall, if you like Rick Schroeder, watch that movie.
Back before he went crazy.
No, he was a kid. He was good. Everybody was great in that movie. Wiggle that bean. Gonna wiggle that bean.
So Poledouris worked until he passed from lung cancer in 2006 at the age of 61.
Cancer, man.
Yeah, that's especially 61, man. That just sucks. Red Dawn ended up making just over $38 million in the box office. The reviews were mixed. The New York Times said,
"To any sniveling lily livers who suppose that John Milius has already reached the pinnacle of movie-making machismo, a warning. Mr. Milius's Red Dawn is more rip-roaring than anything he's done before. Here is Mr. Milius at his most alarming, delivering a rootin'-tootin' scenario for World War III.
That was brilliant, thank you. MGM actually had to apologize to Alaska war veterans for the film's advertising, which claimed that no foreign troops had ever landed on U.S. soil, overlooking the Aleutian Islands campaign of World War II, where Japanese soldiers occupied the Aleutian Islands, part of Alaska.
A very forgotten part of World War II, but it's fascinating.
Yeah. A few days after release, 35 protesters picketed the MGM UA building in opposition to the film. John Milius said,
"What these people really don't like is that the movie shows violence being perpetrated against Russian and Cuban invaders, which is what the demonstration was all about. My question is, where were all these demonstrators when the Russians shot down that airliner? Where were they? Were they cheering? And what about those people being gassed and yellow rained in Afghanistan? There's really no pleasure in outraging these people. I suppose next some extreme right-wing organization will give me an award which is equally ridiculous."
Soon afterward, the Gun Owners of America announced they were honoring Milius for
dramatically depicting the importance in our time of the Second Amendment.
I just love that Milius was very prophetic.
Yeah, I mean, because, of course, like we said, everybody wants to take ownership of stuff.
Yeah. Since the release, National Review Online has named the film number 15 in its list of the best conservative movies.
BS.
Yeah. while there's been no official video game released about Red Dawn, it influenced a number of games.
Oh, yeah.
Freedom Fighters is a 2003 video game that takes place during a Soviet invasion of New York. This game is heavily influenced by Red Dawn's characters, costumes, and design. The plot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 includes an invasion of the United States by an ultra-nationalist Russia, where members of the United States Army's 75th Ranger Regiment have to repel the attack.
Good game.
It's a great game. One of my favorite scenes run through that fast food place. Like, it's so great. Homefront from 2011, a video game by Red Dawn writer John Milius about a North Korean invasion of America, borrows heavily from the movie.
I haven't played this, but I have heard nothing but great things about it.
I played it on the 360, the Xbox 360. I really liked it, and I don't remember finishing it. Kind of wish they would do a remake or something of it.
I think they did a sequel. They
did do a sequel,
too, yeah. For the last generation, PS4.
Yeah, I think so. One notable Easter egg relating to the film is a large billboard at a school sports stadium which reads, "Go Wolverines!"
Wolverines!
In turn, the plot of the 2012 remake of Red Dawn borrows heavily from Homefront, including the use of a united Korean threat, the use of rural and suburban settings for the primary action, and partisan warfare. A remake of Red Dawn, directed by Dan Bradley, was released in 2012. The film takes place in the 2010s with North Korea invading the United States. Milius criticized the remake as terrible.
Well, I was at the premiere of that movie.
I reviewed this movie, yeah.
And, wow, was I so disappointed.
Yeah.
Not even the charm of Thor himself, Chris Hemsworth, could save this stinkeroo. No. And it had that one actor that I just can't stand. I'm not even going to say who it is because I don't remember his name and I don't want to single him out.
So Milius criticized it as terrible after reading the original script where the villains were Chinese. Milius said,
"There was a strange feeling to the whole thing. They were fans of the movie, so they put in stuff they thought was neat. It's all about neat action scenes and has nothing to do with the story. There's only one example in 4,000 years of Chinese territorial adventurism, and that was in 1979 when they invaded Vietnam. And to put it mildly, they got their butts handed to them. Why would China want us? They sell us stuff. We're a market. I would have done it about Mexico."
Okay.
Which, I mean, they did make it about the North Koreans, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay. It
had no...
It was not
heart. It had no nothing. It was just a cash grab, crappy remake.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was, like you said, even Chris Hemsworth could not save that movie. It was just not good at all. I had to review it, and it was one of the best reviews I've ever written because I hated the movie so much.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of passion and hate.
That's it. That's all I got about Red Dawn. It is beloved by the conservative side. I honestly think it's mostly because they see it as a fantasy of like, well,
yes,
this is what I would go do.
It's a Second Amendment fantasy. It's not. There are parts of that movie that are absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
I've been talking about this since we announced doing this, so I'm going to have to talk about it. There's the scene. There is an internment camp that they put up. They put all the parents and the rabble-rousers and the troublemakers.
Troublemakers, yeah.
So the kids stumble upon this, and Harry Dean Stanton is one of the kids' dads. And could you go get my dad? And then C. Thomas Howes, can you get my dad too? And then Harry Dean Stanton comes over and he said, boys, shh, be quiet, boys. Okay, here. And then he goes into like what's going on, and it's where's my dad, Mr. So-and-so? He's like, I don't know, son. And he starts crying. And then he's like, okay, boys, you got to forget about me, okay? You got to forget about me, and you just got to survive, and you got to do the thing. He's being all quiet. He's like, yeah, I got to be quiet. Shh. And then they start walking away. They get about 5 steps away, and it's real quiet. And all of a sudden, avenge me, boys! Avenge me!
It literally makes no sense.
No.
The scene makes zero
sense. It's like, easy, pal. What are you putting? It's just,
The scene where they line them up, or the Soviets and everybody line them up, and they start singing the national anthem, makes that sentiment work so much better than what they were trying to do with the avenge me screaming.
Yes, because it shows the determination of the Americans to the very end. They're gonna spout the American anthem. They're gonna fight for their rights until the very end, which is good. That's not a it's just it's the It's the fetishization
Yes.
of patriotism that ruins things like this.
Yeah, exactly.
This movie isn't a right-wing movie. It is a movie about a ridiculous invasion, kids going up into the woods, and then becoming a fighting force and helping them repel invaders in the occupied territory of America.
I love the fact that all the conservatives that love this movie ignore the fact that the teenagers, their heroes, use very left-wing guerrilla tactics that have been used by lots and lots of various guerrilla bands throughout the world.
Yeah, and it's also, I think they like the fact that it's, they kill the traitor, and it's just... But they're missing the whole point, man. The whole thing is basically, it's a coming-of-age movie of these kids, and how... The best example of this is watch C. Thomas Howell.
Yeah.
And his character through this movie. He is the best barometer of what would probably happen with kids.
Yeah.
It's such a good performance because he starts out as a very innocent, sweet kid, loses his parents, sees all this violence, and just becomes and just shuts down into a killer.
Yeah.
He's just a killer. He has no emotion or no compassion because he can't. It's all driven from him. Doesn't make him a good person or a good soldier. It makes him a tragic figure.
Yeah.
And, his death is completely avoidable. It was just, it's like, just run away, dude. It's like it was suicide.
Run at this helicopter and shoot my gun.
The girls, they don't want to be there.
No.
They're not happy about it. Nobody's happy about being there. Nobody wants to be fighting this stuff.
No. I mean, they're
just
kids. From the very beginning when they're at the dad's store, and then they're like, "You got to come with us." He's like, "No, I got to get your mom."
Gotta get your mom, boys.
But
don't
just
come
get up
back
there.
Here.
Yeah, go up there, take the stuff, and leave. And
just don't come back here.
And they're all of them. It's some of the best acting. Like all of them are just like you can tell they're just horrified, terrified, and like
kids.
I don't want to do this.
Yes.
Like I need a parent, I need a guardian to help me through this.
Yeah, and then they finally get somebody. They get the colonel coming in, and he's just he's impressed and also kind of horrified by these kids because they've turned them into something else. Swayze somehow keeps his humanity.
Yeah.
Until he has to kill his friend.
Yeah.
And that's when it's like he and his brother are like, we're expendable. We're going to end this. Because he crossed the line to where when this is over, he can't have a normal life.
No. What do you do?
He's not going to be able to go back to just being a kid or go to work at the factory.
Part of C. Thomas Howell and him just like, all right, this is it.
That's
last stand. Yeah.
Yes. These are the nuances that the alt-right ignores.
Right.
When it's like, see, Second Amendment. If we didn't have the thing that they love the most about it is that people use their crappy little guns to take on an army, and it's pure freaking fantasy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if this was the truth, here's what would happen. Kids would go up into the hills. Helicopter would go around. They'd see the kids in the hills, their fire or whatever. Choop, choop. 2 missiles. Bing, bang, boom. They're all dead. Or
if they hadn't starved to death first.
Or, well, I could see them living because they're camper kids.
Yes, that's true. They were hunters.
They're survivalists. I see that. But first time they come into town, pop, pop, pop.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, the fact that they just wander around town, like, okay.
But that wouldn't make for a fun movie.
No, it'd be for a short movie.
It's a fantasy. It's a fun fantasy movie about... I love what ifs.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the Marvel what if. Like, what if they were all zombies? What if this happened?
Yeah.
It's always interesting. And this is a really interesting what if America was occupied. And I think it's a very well done scenario of that.
Yeah.
The shot of all of the beginning with all of the paratroopers coming down.
It's done so well from inside the classroom and just seeing that in the distance.
And the actor who plays the teacher, who's also the screaming guy from Starsky and Hutch and from Last Action Hero.
Right.
He's so good as the teacher. He's like, what's going on out here? These guys are way off course.
Hey, guys, it seems like you went the wrong place.
Hey, what you doing? Bow, 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 bow. And it just, from then, it just
moves. Yeah.
And it's just a fun action movie. And it launched the careers of our wave of actors, the biggest actors of our generation.
It's really interesting seeing them so young knowing them now, and seeing them for the last 30 years, but seeing them so young and seeing them so good.
Yeah.
Being so young. They're so baby-faced, and yet they're so good.
But there's a lot of emotion in that movie. There's a lot of crying. And yes, of course, Swayze's like, don't cry. Don't cry. Turn it into something else. Push it into something else. Push it into something else.
He was following what his dad said.
Of course, but that's the thing. It's like the beauty of the Swayze character is he's put upon the role of patriarch, and he doesn't want it.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't want to be a leader. He doesn't want to do this, but he has to. And he has to be a jerk, and he has to do stuff that people aren't going to like. And he's leading a bunch of kids, hormonal.
Yeah.
And I think that aspect of it is good. I think this whole right-wing BS crap about it is just false ownership and really doesn't reflect on the movie itself.
I think you hit the nail on the head in that to them it is a fantasy movie that they think is reality, and it's just not.
Well, it gives them justification for having 1,000 AR-15s or whatever guns they have. My final thoughts, I guess, for this is it's a fun rip-roaring, it's rip-roaring as they say.
It is.
It's a fun what-if movie with a great group of young actors that's just starting out. We get to see them at the beginning of their careers. Yeah. It's a good action movie. It moves fast.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Don't look at the politics of it.
Yeah.
Because there's no real politics to the movie,
Cheer for the kids.
Yeah.
And hope they make it through.
Because here's the thing, too. There's very little explanation of what's going on in the larger world. Powers Booth kind of tells them, like, there's the occupied territory.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of the occupied territory, but we have other territory, So we kind of get
the
what's going
free
on.
America, yeah.
But 98% of this whole war is told through the eyes and the actions of these children.
And they have no idea what's going on.
Exactly, and we don't either. And that makes it so much more exciting.
Really well. Yeah.
It would have been so boring if we kept cutting back to the
president,
or
let's go get
or the war room, where they're like, we gotta get, what about these kids? We gotta get them on our side. It's like these kids are doing the work for us. It's like they didn't go into that crappy trap, of like making it bigger than it needed to be.
And it does, and I will say they do show a lot of the invaders and like humanizing them in a way that like. You don't necessarily understand, it's not like you support them, but
you don't sympathize with them, but you see where they're coming from. They're not just faceless evil.
Right.
They're not the faceless Vietnamese from the Rambo movies that just are cannon fodder.
Yeah.
And have no personality. They're just,
No.
apathetic offals.
Like the mayor that just rolls over and does whatever they want.
Yeah, whose son betrayed them.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of stuff going on that's really good. And it's judge for yourself, man. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Don't let the hype around the whomever taking ownership of a movie guide your view.
Yeah.
It's up to you whether you like it or not. I love this movie because as a kid I loved it. And, at that age, I liked guns, and it was kind of a fantasy of like, oh, yeah, I get it. But, grew out of that. But I still love the movie, and I think most people can. It's a fun, great encapsulation of the time.
It's a really entertaining movie. Yeah.
And it's a good way to see kind of like the way America was viewing the Russians and communism, socialism of the era. And it's a great way to see some of your favorite actors in their first roles.
Yeah. We'll be back next week with the Stepdad Show. Chat about all of our recent viewings and some other fun stuff about the Raw Reagan 80s.
Yeah, what games we're playing, what's going on. Anyway, we'll be back next week. Have a good week. You want to jump into the Bahamian...
Bahamian?
The Bahamian... You want to jump in the Bahamian waters.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Maud, already in progress.